The AgroVantage system, an innovative and economical crop management program developed through the years of field trials and nationwide research. This is the system that state, national, and world crop production champions use. Featuring a complete line of premium products that complement crop management programs, the AgroVantage system will maximize the genetic potential of your crops. The strength of this program is that you have the opportunity to select the products that you need to meet production goals. Soil testing proves to be the first critical component of all successful nutrient management programs. Conklin has teamed up with Midwest Laboratories to provide professional, easy-to-understand soil test results. Based on these results, recommendations for your specific crop and nutrient needs are developed. The AgroVantage system begins with seed treatments. Amplify provides the only known source of adenosine monophosphate available in a seed treatment. Amplify provides faster, more uniform emergence, helps seeds overcome stressful, cold, and wet conditions, and fuels early growth and vigor for enhanced plant health. When soybeans are your crop of choice, look to Magnify soybean seed inoculant. With the highest rhizobial count in the industry, Magnify is scientifically proven to consistently increase soybean yield. Conklin Feast fertilizers start with the highest quality raw materials to produce a superior finished product. These fertilizers are effective at low rates and are non-corrosive to your equipment. Micro and secondary nutrients are essential to achieve the genetic potential of plants. Feast chelated micro and secondary nutrients are 5 to 10 times more efficient than other sources. They're economical, effective, and compatible with most fertilizers. Guardian slow-release nitrogen additives prove to increase crop yields while decreasing your nitrogen costs up to 20%. Add Guardian to your dry and liquid nitrogen sources to keep plant available nitrogen in the root zone longer, and guard against groundwater contamination caused by excess nitrates. After tissue test analysis, Conklin's Feast foliar fertilizers will target plants at growth stages when photosynthesis, root growth, and nutrient absorption need an extra boost. Many growers rave about the high quality of Conklin's adjuvants, from drift retardants to compatibility agents, and surfactants to wetting agents. These adjuvants will buffer your spray solutions and keep them on target. X-cyto plant growth regulators stimulate the plant's biological processes to take crops to the next level. The cytokinins will stimulate cell division and enlargement to generate faster maturity, higher yield, and enhanced quality. Conklin's forage and silage treatments will ensure your crops are preserved until they are ready to be used. Bale at higher moisture levels, generate proper fermentation, and preserve the feed value of your harvested crops. One of the biggest advocates for the AgroVantage system is the owner of Conklin, Charles W. Herbster.
We at the Conklin Company are on the leading edge of technology that we believe will take us not only into the next decade, but into the next century of bringing profit to the bottom line to farmers across the country.
Use the system that state, national, and world crop production champions use, the AgroVantage system.
We've been in a contest for a number of years. I've been in the Iowa Masters, which they don't have anymore. I've won that 11 times over the years. Now we're in the National Corn Growers and been in it the last 8 years. Won 7 out of the last 8 years. Set a new world record 3 times. And the world record right now that I set in 2002 of 442 bushels the acre. And even on all my acres, we use Conklin products. We use the Wex, we use the Rainfast, we use the Amplify D, Guardian, all their products. Even have some of the lube products that we're using and having real good luck. I guess what I'd say, the bottom line to the Conklin products, what I have seen and known of the company, they don't have any out there. If it isn't a real good product, they just simply won't sell it. All their products are really good.
I think that using these products so far this year, the first time, my corn looks better than it ever has. I raised dairy heifers, and with that, about 250 acres of corn and beans, and also have a full-time job about 2.5 hours away from this farming operation. And again, I can't stress how good my corn looks this year.
Corn and soybeans, grain sorghum, and winter wheat. What I tried first in the Conklin was what amplified the seed treatment for corn. We no-till every acre, have been no-till for years. The challenge of no-till corn is getting it up and going early. The soils are cold and wet, and it's a planter box treatment. We tried it first year and saw tremendous results in the emergence of those plants. We used a test. Our test was 10 kernels of corn with and without. Early April, the amplified D, all of those plants came up. The other plants laid there and rotted without it. That was our test. I mean, so we use it on all of our corn. It's great on emergence. Generally, you'll get somewhere around 1,500 more plant population, up to 2,500. You're looking at 5 to 8 bushel increase in the yields. And on we use it on grain sorghum and corn. We're using these products mostly because they work for us. It's not something we do just to try. We're getting very good results from them. And in the end, it's making us money.
As we travel throughout the Corn Belt, working the major shows, the Husker Harvest Days, the Farm Progress Show, the NCGA Commodity Classic Show, we find out one theme that farmers are looking for. How do I simultaneously decrease my input cost and increase my yields? And that is truly what the AgroVantage system is all about. Targeting those factors to make sure that we're getting the most return on investment for every nutrient dollar spent. I would encourage you to grab a soil test and find out how to best spend your nutrient dollars and increase your profit line. As we look across the AgroVantage system, I think the fundamental key is how we get started. And the thing to do to get started is to make sure that we pull that soil test, that we send it into Midwest Labs and have complete analytical work done. Oftentimes we're finding guys who, like the gentleman I sat with at breakfast today, said they have found out they're very, very deficient in boron and sulfur. And those were the two limiting factors that were keeping them from moving to the next yield level. And I want to encourage you to take that soil test, have the analytical work done, find out what your limiting factor is, and cure that.
I guess I use Feast 31818 on about 2,000 acres of corn, half soybeans. And I guess what I like best about the whole AgroVantage system is the soil testing has allowed me to fine-tune my inputs to actual cost savings, and at the same time allowing me to increase yields 10 to 20%. I pretty much go off of my recommendations from the AgroVantage system and then do some foliar feeding along with that.
My name is Mike Pekarski from Morton, North Dakota. Farm about 1,700 acres of corn and soybeans and a little bit of wheat. And I've been using AgroVantage system for about 2 years now. The product that I've seen the most response with is Guardian. In my ground it's a little sandy and the nitrogen likes to leach. And with the soil testing and everything I found, I've been able to fine-tune the nitrogen with my ground and save a lot of money. There are other companies that sell fertilizer also, but without a soil test program to go along with it, you don't have anything. The micronutrient part of it is one part of it, but it pinpoints and tells you exactly what your ground and Pacific field needs. I've seen about a 10 to 20% increase in the yield with less input costs.
Been using that product now every year since I started. This makes the 6th year. We've tested it at least twice, sometimes 3 times a year in different plots. We've went from a low of 2 bushels to the acre increase to a high of 12. And the beauty of that thing is we're getting about a 7 bushel increase, and it only cost us $1 for the product.
If I was going to start using the Conklin products, the first thing I would start with was Amplify D, because you can put it in half the planter and leave it out of half the planter, and you can see, 4 to 8, 10 bushel increase by using Amplify D or Amplify L. That would be my #1 product I would start with, because they don't have to change anything in their planter. They can just go right out and do that without doing anything else. But I would urge them, if they're using a starter, to try to use our starter in row if they could, and use it a side-by-side test with the other with whatever they're using at the time. Maybe you won't want me to tell this, but I do this with farmers that absolutely don't want to do anything. I'll tell them that I'll put the Amplified D in half the planter and I get the profit over and above the other Amplified D. And usually they'll buy the Amplified D then. But anyway, that's what I do. If a guy just absolutely says, I do not want to try it, I'll try to stay there and say, I'll put it in the planter box, and then whatever the yield increase, you give me that money per bushel over and above what you're not doing. But I always say we love competition. We're not the competition, we love competition. And so we want to test against everything we have out there. And I just love doing that. I love putting a challenge to the farmer and let us try that.
My name is Larry O'Brien. I farm with my brother Jim O'Brien in Olney, Illinois, the southeast part of Illinois. We grow corn, soybeans, wheat, and milo. And on soybeans, we use a product called Magnify LST on a seed treatment. And last year we had enough to do 20 acres as a test. We put it in a 40-acre field. The results were better growth throughout the year. More blooms on the plants and more pods, and when we harvested them, everything was weighed, the 20 with and without. There was a little over 6 bushel advantage, and based on that, we always put Magnify LST as a soybean inoculant in the 1,800 acres of soybeans that we put out this year. We saw tremendous results. Never replanted any beans at all. A lot of the neighbors were replanting their soybeans. Ours was a lot of stress during the spring. We always plant when it's cool and wet. We no-till everything. And we believe that this product has provided enough energy for that soybean plant to keep going. In double crop soybeans, we use Magnify LST on that. It was so dry that most people said the beans wouldn't grow, and they were right, but those beans laid there 3 weeks, kept putting a sprout on and some more hair roots. And when it finally did rain 2/10 of an inch, they did come up out of the ground, and most people's beans laid there and rotted during that time, but we got a really good stand.
3 years ago, we started using a product called Guardian. We put that in with 32 to 34 gallons of nitan, and we were pulling off 180, 190 bushel corn with that. We've used it ever since. Last year we had some ground that had some heavy rains in June and July, and we still come through with 200 plus bushel corn. It's been a wonderful product for us, and it's helped us take us to that next level.
Well, my favorite product is Guardian because of my sandier ground, and the yield response and the greenness of the crop. I've had neighbors come over and just say, why is your corn so green? And it's because in our ground, the leaching of nitrogen, and the Guardian helps sustain that throughout the growing season.
A friend of mine has been for the last several years using Guardian, and told me a little story that he ran out of Guardian a few years back, and when it came harvest time, he could see a definite line between where he had applied Guardian with his nitan and where he had not. And given the last 2 years that we've had and the amount of rainfall, I thought I should try this product. And I used Guardian this year with my pre-plant nitan application. To date, my corn looks better than it ever has, and actually had somebody ask me the other day what I did differently this year, because it seems to look darker, green, and better than anyone up or down the road.
We've used Guardian the last few years just because nitrogen prices have raised it. Everybody was anhydrous in our area for years, but now we're starting to see more and more 28 coming into the area, and we've run several replications with Guardian, and we had one farmer last year that had 6 fields with 6 replications in it, and he saw anywhere from a 6 bushel to a 20 bushel increase where he used Guardian versus no Guardian. And we're just seeing that repeatedly year in and year out now.
My main product is the Sidekick. I use it on Bermuda grass. I use it at a rate of 1 gallon per 32 units. I use 32% nitrogen, or 1 gallon per 100 pound of 32% nitrogen. We're having tremendous results with it. I have 2 gentlemen that I fertilize for. Both of them has first and second state tonnage records in Arkansas the last 2 years. Also, they're 4th and 5th on analysis in the nation.
One of my favorite products is Wex, and where I've really seen the difference in Wex is in the popcorns. The standard joke in our area is when the popcorn was laying on the ground, it was ready to pick. And where we'd use Wex at, the popcorn was always standing, and we could see a tremendous poundage difference where we used Wex and popcorn, and also yield difference, and we see a 7 to 8 bushel increase in field corn.
We also get about a 5 to 6 bushel per acre increase with it. We usually add it with our pre-emergence corn herbicide. We've shown from a 5 to 8 bushel increase with that product, and really like it not only for the yield increase, but for the fact that it just makes spraying go a lot easier. It keeps your tanks clean. It holds down the foam that you might have. So just a very good product.